Welcome all in the fifth session of API testing with Postman. In the previous session, we have learned how we can run the collection of API using the collection option. Now in this session, we are going to learn that if we want to use any variable in our collection or API, how we can create it. For that purpose, we use the concept of environment variables. So let me show you. This is my API. This is my Postman app, and in the Postman app, by default, you can say I've created a collection here, API collections. So here you can see I have configured only two APIs. In the previous session, I've configured, you can say, few more other APIs, like you can say post-based API, get-based API, put-based API, delete-based API. So many API I have configured here. So here you can say one common thing you will see in every API, in all the collection here, you can see. If you take the example of post get student API, I'm using this one. So in this URL, this part is common. This part is common. And if you go to the get student ID, again, you can say this part is common. If you take the example of other APIs also, which I am going to configure on the same platform or on the same IP, all the for all the APIs, this part will be common. So we can do one thing. Instead of writing this part, which we can also say the endpoint, we can also say this is the endpoint. We don't need to write it again and again in each and every API. We can do one thing. We can create the variables for it. And how we can create the variables? For that purpose, there is an option in Postman that is called environments. So this is the option environment here. Click on environments. And when you click on environments, you will get the option here, globals. And here you can create, click on this icon, create environment. So when you click on environment, you will get the option here, new environment. And here you can change the name. Like I can say Pradeep environment. Okay, now I've created the environment here, and in the environment, you can see here are the options like variable. So click on this one and you can add a variable here. So you can use a variable here, like you can say I'm creating a variable endpoint. I'm just giving the name of endpoint. So in this endpoint, what I'm going to do, actually you can say, let me go to the, you can say, let me save it first of all here. Okay, let me save it. I've created an environment or an endpoint. Let me go in the collection part and let me copy this part, only this part, copy. Okay, and now let me go to the environment again. So I have just click on this environment. I have just created environment. In the environment variable, I just given the variable endpoint. This is the type default. In the initial value, you can put the value, whatever you want to put the value. So this endpoint is nothing. It is a variable here. And in the current, when I click on, by default, it you can say the current value will be, you can say, you can say, you can give the current value as the same thing here. And now you can click on persist all. Persist all means you can say persist me you can say all the values, you can say all the initial values will be replaced by the current value of the variable. So that's why you can say it is going to persist. So let me click on persist all. So now what is the benefit here? I have used this, you can say I've created a variable in my environment variable. Now if I go to collection part here, and in my collection, you can say in my post trend, I can use the variable here. How I can use the variable in my collection? You will see at the top right corner, there is option no environment. So click on this one. And when you click on this one, you will see all the environments which you have created in your Postman. So currently I have created only one environment, that is called Pradeep environment. So let me select this environment. When you click on this environment, click on save here. Now you can do one thing. You can just simply highlight this one. And if right click on this one, you can see here it is saying that set Pradeep environment. So you can click on this one endpoint and you will see it will, you can say it is already, you can say saved here. Let me do one thing instead of that. You can do one thing, that click on set variable and click on endpoint. So when you click on endpoint, you can see here the initial part is, you can say, changed with the this syntax endpoint. And now whenever we are going to run it, it will work as a endpoint. If you want to see, let me run it. You can see it is written endpoint, but it is already, you can say, saved in the Pradeep environment variable. So it will pick the value from here. So let me show in the body. We have already data here, and let me click on send. Okay, now you can see it is showing you the 200. Okay, let me click on body. So this is the response of the ID 3184. You can say it is creating here. Let me show you. Let me run it one more time so that you can say it is working fine or not. So let me again click and you can say currently it has generated the ID 3184. Let me send it again. So now it is generated 3185. So it means you can say whenever I have configured a variable, it is picking the value of the variable from the environment variable. Now, if we go to in the second API, in the second API get system ID, we can also use the same thing here. So you have two options. You can select it here, and if you write, you can select it here. You will get the option this one, and here you can say click on this one. You can click on it, and you when you click on it, let me again right click. Why it is not highlighting? Why it is not highlighting? So let me highlight it. Yeah, set variable. When you highlight it, it is giving the option set variable here. And when you click on set variable, you will get the all the variable which is available in your you can say in your environment. If you want to write it on, again the same syntax is that you can do one thing. You can do one thing simple. You can replace the same thing by these two brackets. This one, and here you can write the variable name endpoint. ENDPOINT. So you can say this is the name of the variable which you have to write. Let me do one thing. Let me check the variable name again. Let me go to the environment, click on Pradeep environment. Okay, this is the variable name. So you can use this variable directly there, or you can go to this one API and here you can paste it. So you can say same thing here. You can use both the options here. This is the best way. Let me click on save it. Now you can see in my both the APIs in my Postman, if you take the example, I'm using endpoint and the get stream ID, I'm also using the endpoint. So the what is the benefit here? The benefit is there. Suppose take the example. Suppose so first of all, let me run this and show. Let me show you that it is giving the ID of 3166 or not. So it is giving the detail of 316 here. So you can say what is the advantage here? The advantage here, currently you can see you are running, suppose take the example, you are running your this API student API collection on the one environment. It can be dev environment. Okay. So in dev environment, what will happen? You can say in your dev environment, you can say the API URL, this URL path will be same. Only what will be the difference? The endpoint. Endpoint means you can say, let me go to the environment. I can show you. Endpoint means this path will be, you can say, this will be a path of your dev environment. Now, if you want to run your API, you can say if you want to run your API or collection in different environment, so you only need to change this part. Instead of HTTP localhost, you can give the IP and port of the UAT environment, or you can give the, you can say production environment. So you only need to change it only one place, that is called Pradeep environment variable. In your environment, you can change the value here, and it will be reflect on the all the collection API. So you can say it is the endpoint variable, and wherever you are going to use the endpoint variable, it is going to be work. So this is the benefit here. Okay, that's why we are using the environment variables here. Now you can see not only environment variable, you can take the advantage of your test data also. Like you can say, if you take the example of create student, here you are using data 23 current REST API. This data you are just putting it hard coded here. You can also do one thing. You can set this data also in a variable, and anytime in every run, whenever you want to run your test case, you don't need to come here in the body part of the request to change the test data. You will just change the data in the environment variable. So let me show you how you can do one thing. Simply do one thing. Let me again highlight it. Okay. Okay, let me highlight it. It should give the option to create an environment variable. Sometime it get, sometime it didn't give, sometime. Okay, let me click endpoint and let me, because I've seen sometime it given this one. Okay, if it is not given, don't worry. You can do one thing. You can simply go to the environment here, and in the environment, select your environment, and here you can define the variables. Okay, so I need three variables, three test data I need. So I can do one thing. NAME name. I will create three variables: name, age, and subject. SUBJECT subject here. So type is default here. Here you can pick put some value. Let me take the example of you can say Karan is the name, and age. Suppose take the example 23, and let me give the subject name Postman. So you can say the benefit is there. Benefit is there. We are just putting the test data in the environment. Okay, we are not setting in the. We are not going to use the hard coded value in the API. We are just setting the test data in our environment using this environment variable option, and then we are going to save it. Okay. Okay, this one. So now we have just you can save the data. Name is Karan, age is 23, and subject is Postman. Now you can see in my collection, I can do one thing. Whenever you are going to run this part, create student, you don't need to. You can say you don't need to set the hard coded data here, you can use the data which is actually available in the, you can say, in your environment. So let me show you how you can do it here, how you can put the data here. The syntax is that whenever you are going to set some environment variables, you are going to use some environment variables in your API or in your anywhere in your collection. You can simply write two curly braces here and two curly braces closing, and between that you are going to give the name here NAME. So this is the name of the variable, and the same way you can give the other type of data like this one, double and double, and here you will write what was the name of your variable, age. And in the same way, let me come to here, double, and it was subject, SUBJCT. So it is giving the variable name. So now you can see. So now you can see. Let me save it here. So here you can say, now this is my request. I am using the endpoint here. And here in the body part, I'm not giving any hard coded value. What will happen? It will automatically pick the value of name is subject from my environment variable that I've already selected here. You can say, okay, selected here. Okay, now simply let me run it. I'm just currently I'm just running the, you can say, in the collection, I'm running the individual API. So let me send it. So it is saying maybe we have done something wrong. Maybe we have something wrong. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we have done the wrong thing. In the age, we have given the name. Okay. So let me do one thing. Let me control X. Let me put the name here. And the age variable should be used because age variable should be used in the age part. Okay. I have corrected it. Now age, name, subject. Now it's okay. Now let me run it. Now let me first of all save it. And now let me run it. Now you can say it is running fine and we got the ID 3186. Now you can see why it is possible, because you can say in my URL, so I'm not using the hard coded hard code endpoint here. Okay, and when you put the cursor here, you can say this is the value of your endpoint. And if you put the cursor on your age, you can see here I'm just using the variable here. This I'm using the variable here. So that's why you are whenever you are using the age, name, subject in your body, it is just triggering the create student API and giving the response. If you want to double check that really the data is picking from the environment variables and it is used in your post create student API, so you can do one thing. Let me copy this ID here and let me select the another get student ID. And here you can do one thing here. You know that you can put the ID here. So let me put the recently generated ID by the create student. I put it here 3186, and if you click on the send button, you will see it is giving the data here 318623 current and Postman, which you have used in your environment variable. So it means using the environment variables, you can set any test data, you can use any endpoint, anything which you want to set. Instead of making it hard coded in your API, you can set in environment variables and then you can use it in your collections or in your individual API. Okay. So and now in this way, you have learned that how we can create the environments, how we can create the variables, and how we can use it in our API and collection. Now the thing is that if you want to modify any collection, you can do one thing, simply this one. And now you can do one thing, simply click on this one. You can see, and here you can see you are getting so many options here. Like you can say share, you can rename, you can duplicate, whatever. You can export also. You can do the same thing here. If you want to edit, simply click on your collection here. It will open the collection here. And editing means you can do one thing. You can add some variables here. You can change the name of any variable here. And after that, you can simply click on save this save button and it will save. So in this way, you can create environment variables. You can you can update environment variables, and then you can set the value and you can use in your API here. Whenever you want to delete the environment variable, that I'm not going to do, but you can simply click on these three dots here. And if you click on delete button, you will see it will give the option that delete Pradeep environment. If you click on the delete button, it will be deleted. So that I'm not going to delete it. So now in the you can say in the next session of API, we are going to learn very interesting thing. And what is that? Here you are able to see that this post create student API and get student API, we can link it. How we can link it? You can see my requirement is that whenever I'm just going to call the post create student API, you can say I'm just going to put the test data, age, name, subject here. So in the response, it is going to generate a ID 3186. Whatever ID it is going to generate, what I'm doing it currently, I'm just copying it manually here and just going to the get student by ID API and putting it here manually. In the next session, I will show you that how you can transfer the data from one API to another API. Like I will show you that automatically the data from the response of the one API, it will be fetched from here, and automatically it will go and set into the next API. It can be next API path param, or it can be next API body. So you can say in short, we are going to learn that how we can pass the data from one API to the another API. If you have liked this video, you can click on the like button. And if you have not subscribed my channel till now, you can subscribe it. Thank you.